Hi, I'm Joseph, a 34-year-old network software engineer turned indie game developer. About 18 months ago, I started on my first project, Dimwraith, and you'll be pleased to know I'm still working on that project. If there's anything I've learned over the past 18 months, it's that making games is not easy. It's really fun to work on the parts you're good at, not so fun for the parts you're not. Wanting to make a game usually starts out pretty simple, but the more you get into it, the more you realize it's like making a movie. You've got the directing, the choreography, the lighting, the designing, so on and so on. And really at some point you have to make the decision, do I want to be great at everything and possibly not release this game for 10 years, or can I bring in other people who are really good at what they do? They say when one journey ends, another begins, and that's exactly what happened to me. Saying goodbye to my best friend of 13 years was the hardest day of my life, and why I've had to record this about 10 times because it still chokes me up. Losing my dog Travis was a big void to fill, and after a couple weeks, I decided that game development is what I wanted to fill it with. And so one of the first things that I tried to do was to add him to the game. And that way, even though he's gone, it still feels like he's with me today. My first couple weeks was really all about getting to know the engine and figuring out what Unity could do. The tile map renderers, the animations, what the hell is a shader and how do I make one. But as soon as I got the game off the ground, my first objective was to get the multiplayer working, because I was not going to make a game if it wasn't multiplayer. Fun fact about me, I only play multiplayer games, and I think I have ever since Super Nintendo. I initially started making all of the art myself, but when I actually ran the numbers on how long it was going to take to do everything that I wanted to do, I realized it wasn't going to be possible to do all of the art. That's when I first learned about Fiverr and Upwork, and I started giving work out to some artists, just doing very small asks. It became obvious to me that I really didn't know what I was asking for, and I'm pretty sure the artists didn't know either. Now, fast forward 6 months of art agony later, and that's when I stumbled across a guy named Vancris, who was an art consultant. I think when he saw what I was doing and how passionate I was for the project, he really wanted to work with me, but he knew I clearly didn't know what I was doing with the art and created me a style guide immediately. Now, I'm the kind of person that when I start on something, I do not drop it. I just keep going and going. And it's rare to meet somebody that can match that type of energy, but this guy had shown me that he could. And that was really the beginning for me of finding people who were equally passionate and good at what they love to do. At this point, there's a lot of things that I could talk about with game development, but I'll save that for a future devlog. The most important thing is actually our team's mission, and that is to make multiplayer games that produce positive social energy. Some of my fondest memories were playing Civilization II Gold Edition with my brother, and also rushing to school 30 minutes early so that we could get to the computer lab to play the free Age of Empires demo with our friends. Whenever Dimwraith is released, that is the type of magic I hope people will experience when they play the game. So for the last 9 months, our focus has really been, how do we create positive social energy in the art, in the audio, in the game mechanics? I think doing everything originally myself gives me a lot more appreciation for people that do those things well. I think the old version of the game had a lot of personality, but now I can comfortably say that production value has been increased. One of the first things that we did as a team was to remake the main menu. And while it's far from finished, I'm really happy to have something with a lot more polish. We've currently planned for 6 classes and 8 different races, although we're currently redoing the characters, starting with the human and the minotaur. One of the things that's really unique about the difficulties is that in hard mode, you can actually hit your friends with your spells, so you gotta be very careful about where you throw your skill shots and your AoE. The model we're using is a little bit similar to Terraria, where you have character files and you have world files. This way, if your friend decides to stop playing, you can always join a new world and not lose your progress. One of the really fun things about building a team is the camaraderie that you get. We currently have a Friday morning Minion Masters tournament, of which I can proudly say I wore the winner's crown for 4 weeks. In the beginning, planning consisted of just doing whatever I had in my head, but with more people comes more communication and more planning. What I think is really fun is to just come to the artboard and see everything that they have going on. In my career as a network software engineer, only about 10 or 20% of my actual job is programming. The rest of it is the planning and the designing, the reviewing, the cleanup, etc. And I've come to learn that in art, it's the exact same way. There's so much process and research and communication that has to go on before they can actually draw things. One of the things that is very frustrating is all of the different bugs that creep up as systems tie together and become more complicated. So it's great to have people that can have a good laugh about these things.
I resurrected and died again. I died.
Oh man, 1 million damage.
When people copy a specific template, it's really obvious that it lacks a certain personality and creativity and depth. So it's important to remember as a team that we're actually embedding our personality and character into the game. Therefore, our team's culture is really important because that's what players are going to see when they play this game.
This is supposed to be a peaceful town.
Let meteor rain upon everything.
At the end of the day, nobody wants to let each other down for the parts that they're responsible for. And that really motivates you to do the best job that you can. Alright, so let's talk gameplay. The original concept was sort of a League of Legends meets RuneScape, and so we've tried to strike a good balance between the different proficiencies and the spell systems. So upgrading your level for things like mining, fishing, woodcutting might actually give you a spell related to that proficiency. We currently have 8 proficiencies, and for spells, somewhere around 300 is our end goal. I personally love games that can support my friends' different playstyles. One person might want to do all of the crafting or the building, while another might want to do quests or the monster PvE, and other people might want to play more supportive roles or just experience the environment and get to know the story. Another element that really supports the positive social energy initiative is a party system, because some games you can attack monsters, but you really need to be in the same area in order to enjoy each other's presence. With a party system, players can go to the area that supports the best experience for their character while still being able to play with their friend and see how they're contributing to the party. Another fun feature that we've recently started on is the NPC system. Not only can NPCs talk to each other, but multiple NPCs and multiple players can join the same conversation. This allows deeds, quests, and just talking in general to be a social event, not something isolated to one player. Now, using some of the local LLM AI models proved to be a little bit too intensive for most computers, and the responses could take anywhere from 10 to 15 seconds. So we've developed our own application internally that can use natural language processing and generate the responses in about less than a second. It's really one of the things that I'm most excited about, and I'll talk more about it in a future devlog. For equipment, I decided to go with a rune system, which is similar to Summoner's War or Raid Shadow Legends. In this system, you get set bonuses which are very unique, and specific rune sets may only come from certain areas, which incentivizes the player to attack monsters that maybe aren't the most ideal XP, but gives them something else they want. We're also experimenting with each individual rune being able to upgrade a spell in some way, so that players can come up with different rune set combinations that do very unique things. The game will also feature a number of pets, and hopefully we can expand on that, but we really haven't actually touched them since the game was sort of redone. The current choices are a parrot, a monkey, and of course my dog Travis. So at some point we'll get back to that and show you all what neat things you can do. Overall, I'm really happy with where the game is going, and we hope to get a demo out by the beginning of next year. I'll drop a link below to our website and the Steam page where you can sign up for the playtest, but if you don't get into that, you'll still get notified when the demo is actually available. There will also be a link below to our Discord, and we don't really have anybody on there yet. It's just sort of the team and some personal friends, so I would appreciate anybody wanting to take part in the community and offer their feedback and their general thoughts of the project. And for those of you people who just maybe don't believe in Discord, drop a comment below and tell us what you would like to see in the next video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.